As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Well, hello, my beautifuls. Hello. Hopefully my volume is up well. Hopefully you guys can hear me all well. It is nice to see you. We are covering the case of Nancy Guthrie. We've got a lot to go over. I wasn't going to be here, but thank goodness my meeting wasn't very long today. I think if I would have looked at the agenda before I got there, I probably wouldn't even have left or got up this morning, or made us do a live at 6 o'clock in the flippin' morning. But here we are. I had my 3 minutes. I got to talk about 3 minutes about my future agenda items. And of course, another attorney tried to interrupt me. They don't like me criticizing. They try to control my speech up there. They're gonna realize that is not a good policy when I'm conducting county business, and they're gonna find out very quick. Not a good policy with Bullhorn Betty. Anyways, I digress. My meeting. So when I got back here, I'm like, okay, well, it looks like we're going to be able to do this press conference. We'll be doing real-time stuff here, and that's good because the first press conference we didn't do either. We were already live. We had already been on here for 4 hours, and to stay on here for another 2 hours until the press conference, I was just not going to have it. It was just too much for me. In all fairness, it was too much for you guys as well. So you could only hang out for so long. I mean, back in the day when everything was new, when we were doing this, we could stay on here for 8 hours. But, you know, I've got other stuff to do, and so do you guys. You know, we've moved away from a lot of drama that drew in a lot of people into the channel, and we decided, you know, we don't like that. So we're just trying to make sure that we're staying proper, we're doing things the right way. We're going to speculate here. This is social media, so I'm not mainstream media. I don't have a stick up my ass, okay? I'm just saying, I don't. So we're going to speculate. We're going to be looking at these cases. This is not, you know, our channel is good. If people needs to be found, they should be reaching out to the Bullhorn Betty channel. They really should. They should be reaching out to Dog the Bounty Hunter. Unfortunately, when it comes to law enforcement, they are very good at a lot of stuff, and solving cases is their strong suit. You know, they do that, and they do that well. You can see by the amount of people that are lining up our prisons that law enforcement do their job. However, there are some times that, you know, we got to start thinking out of the box. These criminals are becoming smarter. They're getting smarter because of social media. They're getting smarter because of, AI. I mean, AI, you really, any subject matter you want to talk about, you can, if you go down and really want to learn it, AI will teach you. They'll teach you everything. They'll teach you how to do, if you want to become a web designer, they'll teach you step by step how to do web designs. You don't have to go to college and spend $100K anymore to learn stuff, right? You can learn stuff at the touch of your fingertips. So I think it really is making law enforcement's life a little bit more difficult in solving these crimes. Now, here's the issue. We're hearing that there is a potential peeping Tom, somebody that was creeping around late at night around somebody's house, near her house, not too far from her house. Those are all types of things that we want to look at. We never want to dismiss that kind of stuff, right? So we have to look at that stuff as red flags that they are, but does it really equate to that being stuff that happened to her or that happened at her house? It could. It could. That's why we have to look at all these things. A neighbor said that they found somebody creeping around their house when they went out and the floodlights came on and they went out to check it. The person scurried off and it was too dark to observe their face. That's what was stated. It was too dark to observe their face. So that's concerning. That's concerning. Does the stranger danger fit in? The stranger danger, in my opinion, would fit into this case perfectly. Okay, again, just my opinion. Would fit into this case perfectly if she was still in the house, injured or deceased or whatever the case may be. If she was still in the house, that would, in my opinion, be the defining factor. Then we would say, okay, burglary gone bad, whatever the case may be. We know law enforcement is holding a lot to the chest. Okay, just based on the ransom note in the limited details that we heard in the ransom note, at minimum, there was definitely a struggle in the house. There was something damaged. They talked about in the to try to show validity of that ransom note. They talked about what she was wearing, which is my understanding, nobody truly knows what she was wearing. So I think that detail is not necessarily going to help identify whether this person is who they say they are. But maybe items broke in the house. That's where I think, or I truly believe, that they're getting the pay dirt on these ransom notes. Something that they was said in the ransom note may be true. So we heard from TMZ, because TMZ can't keep their mouth shut. They're a failing station and they need as many clicks and views as possible. So while the local media kept their mouth shut and didn't talk about the ransom note and turned it immediately over to law enforcement, TMZ did not. TMZ did not. We learned that was an email, which is going to be great because, like I tell you, everybody thinks you can use a VPN in the United States. Yeah, you're protected more so than anybody else, but even VPNs our country can get through VPNs. They know exactly where you're coming from. So unless you are like you're a mastermind and you know how to hop your VPN and keep skipping your signal, and that's the only the signal skipping, which I know nothing about, but I know that it's more it's better than the VPNs. If you could signal jump, that's the only true way to keep your identity secret in the United States, from my understanding. So I don't think the VPNs are protecting, because even when I was doing some legal research once in my past life, it had something to do with the VPNs. I remember searching. I can't give you guys verbatim. I'm sorry, I just can't. But if I remember correctly, it had to do with the subpoena and the look back. Like they had to store their documents on servers for XYZ years. Is it a year? Is it 2 year? If I remember back then, which was many years ago, it was 5 years or 7 years. But I don't think they keep that data that long anymore. I think it's too cumbersome at this point in this juncture in our society. But I don't know. I don't know what that is. But I do remember there was something similar that it was several years ago, maybe a decade ago, because these VPNs have been around a while and there was rules for them. And if they were conducting their business in the United States, they had to keep records just like we have to keep records. So I don't know if that's changed or they've gotten different protection, but it's always been my understanding our feds can break through VPNs. They can track you even when you have a good VPN. So that's why I've never spent money on VPNs, is because of that statement right there that was always said, because everybody gets VPNs to cover their tracks or not to be seen online. And it's like, the people that you're trying to run from, the government, they can see you. So what's the point? What's the point? You got to be a little more creative. You got to be on the dark web to do a lot of stuff. And you have to use VPNs to get on the dark web to protect yourself on the dark web. But it doesn't stop our government from seeing that you access the dark web. They can still see that you did that. So anyways, take that for what you will. Melanie, it's nice to see you. Eeyore Blues, we've already got a lot of people in chat, so I'm gonna be monitoring all of our channels, all of our stations right now. Right now, we are just literally waiting for the press conference to start, coming about. We've got several channels that we are monitoring for the press conference. I've got one that we know for a fact is working, has a working signal, but we are going to be bouncing around, and I'm going to be checking a lot of stuff while we go through and have some talking points on our on our channel. So we've got several channels that aren't starting for at least 30 minutes. So what we're going to do in this 30 minutes is get all of you guys up to snuff with the details of the case, okay? I think that is the best scenario. Plus, we still had some stuff to go over this morning. Let's go to this one. Let's go to this one. We'll go right here. Maybe on that side. There we go. And this is a pretty interesting report, so we'll go through this and talk just a little bit.
Now, tonight, investigators have returned to the home of Nancy Guthrie with K-9 units. And breaking only moments ago, President Donald J. Trump truthed out this, quote, "I spoke with Savannah Guthrie. I let her know that I am directing all federal law enforcement to be at the family and local law enforcement's complete disposal. Immediately, we are deploying all resources to get her mother home safely. The prayers of our nation are with her and her family. God bless and protect Nancy." President Donald J. Trump. Here now with the very latest in Arizona tonight, our very own Jonathan Hunt. Okay,
so now you guys heard that. So President Trump, if you are curious, maybe you guys are, maybe you guys aren't. If you guys are curious, Donald J. Trump has reached out to the family and has offered, whatever resources we have in the United States. Now, it's putting some people in a tizzy. There's not a whole lot that I can do about people's feelings about that. If push comes to shove and it was my mom, I'm sorry. I'm very thankful for whatever resources I'm going to be able to get. But, some people feel like it's favoritism or this, that, and the other. You can feel some type of way, but at the end of the day, we pull out all the resources we have when our loved one goes missing. And she's worked her ass off, right? She's worked her ass off to get to where she is, to have the friends that she has. And if the friends that she has wants to use their power and notoriety to get some results done, by God, that's what happens. That's how the world works. The world is not perfect. The world is unfair. And people are going to have to get used to it. I saw somebody that had something to say very disgruntledly on X. And of course, naturally, I let them know that, no, you do not represent our voice, our collective voice. And what you've just said was completely out of line, and I can't remember what, it was awful. It was a horrible statement. And it was unacceptable. So I piped in and said how I felt it was unacceptable. Should I have done that? Should I not? I don't know. It's just something that ended up happening. So anyways, thank you. Let them 66. Give me a second. She says, good afternoon, BHB Mods Chat. Sorry if I missed the super chat this small. We don't pay attention to that. I wasn't quite awake and I am now sending prayers to all who needs them. Well, thank you. Loves and hugs. Big heart to you. She's one of our prayer warriors. We do appreciate you very, very much. Veronica B. True, it's nice to see you. Good morning. I see a lot of people are praying in the chat. Keep those prayers coming. Libby, Reba, Southern, it's nice to see you. Deanna, Rebecca, Phil, hello, hello, hello. I know, Deanna, 16 months. It goes by fast. Madeline, it's nice to see you. And all of the folks that are in the chat this afternoon coming here to watch this live broadcast of the press conference. We are monitoring this press conference. We're watching the time tick down. I'm going to make sure as soon as we hear the persons go to the podium, we're going to be switching gears and getting right into the press conference. I promise you we will not miss a thing. So stay here. We're going over a lot of information. We're going to debrief. I'm not going to debrief after the press conference. I'm not going to interrupt the press conference. I'm not going to stop it. I'm not going to go over it while it's going on. We're going to hear. We're going to listen to all the questions. I'm going to be taking copious notes, and then we'll deliberate and debrief after the conversation is over. I may have my microphone off. I may not. We'll see where we are. But we're all waiting to find out, is there a new information? Now, what do I think is going to happen today? All right, let's talk about, maybe some before we get into this segment here. What do I think is going to happen today? Well, this appears to be something that the sheriff is trying to do so he's not feeling like a freaking yo-yo, right? He probably feels like a yo-yo because he's in such high demand right now with all the news organizations. As you guys can imagine, this is a beloved talk show host's family. Okay, she's well known. People have been watching her literally for years. She's part of many people's family. Okay, whether she knows it or not, she's part of a lot of people's family. She's a big deal. Okay, her mother is missing, and everybody is tuned into this case. All right, with that said, what I think is going to be happening is this is kind of the way the sheriff is going to be communicating and allowing us to answer questions. Many people are going to want to know, is the son-in-law a suspect? This is going to be very hard and very difficult for him to dance around. It is the proverbial elephant in the room, if you ask me. Okay, is there some culpability here? Are they seeing it? And my response and thought process with this is I don't think we're going to get a clear answer from him. Okay, I don't think we're going to get a definitive no. We have not, no, he's not being looked at as a suspect. I don't think we're getting that. I think if it is, if he does address or answer the question, which I think by him not answering or addressing the question, it's going to grow legs. So I think that there is going to be a media person that's out there that's going to ask about the son-in-law. Okay, because that's what, and I'm pretty sure they're going to repeat. He's probably got a book now. He's being counseled by the FBI. This is a very serious matter. President Trump is providing every bit of resources to the Guthrie family that we can muster in the United States. This is a very good and gracious family, folks. Okay, it seems like they are lovely people. It seems like they come from a wonderful background. It's hard to believe they are even dealing with a situation like this, but they are. So who did this to them? That is the million-dollar question. We don't know who did it to them. We can speculate, and we can speculate wildly. We do speculate. We do speculate wildly. Majority of the time we're right, but this one has a few key factors and key ingredients that are keeping me on the fence until something that breaks, that changes my mind. There's a few things that are keeping me on the fence. One, she was away from the home that evening. That's important to me because it's prime time for somebody to say break into the house unknown to the person, right? Without her being there, it tells me that somebody could have been in the backyard without her, without her knowledge. So there's a lot of things with her being gone that could have happened that put a bad guy in her house unbeknownst to her until she stumbled across them, or she went to bed and then they attacked her in her sleep, So there are a few things. Now, there's blood at the front door. The blood at the front door, it's very perplexing for me because it almost implies for me one of two things happened. That she was, maybe somebody rang the doorbell and she came to the door. And as soon as she opened the door, they hit her. That might explain why we have a few of the blood drops, like right in and around the front door, They could have pulled her out the front door and then decided that's not a good avenue to go through. It's very perplexing for me that they went back there and were focused on the garage. And I actually have something for that. Is that this one? Yes, it's this one right here. So we've got like this garage, they were in the garage. I thought, there was a white car out. This is another thing. We saw the white car out there in the driveway, and I naturally thought that was her car. But then we see this SUV in the garage, and it's interesting. So what was the car outside of the garage? Certainly this lady doesn't need two vehicles, right? So I would presume that this SUV is hers. And I noticed that this garbage can next to the officer, like right here, the lid, the lids are typically attached to these type of garbage cans. May not be. And I see a broom kind of laying out. I don't think they would have left this here, So it looks like there is some evidence of maybe even cleanup, folks, and I'm speculating here. I don't know. I'm speculating wildly, so I apologize if this is inaccurate, but I'm seeing a broom laying on the floor. I don't see an elderly lady allowing a broom to be laid out there on the floor like that. That's a good way for her to, trip and fall and hurt herself really bad. I can tell you that elderly people don't leave stuff out like this. Look at that garage. That garage looks pristine. So her inside of her house looks pristine. Now, if you see an older lady, an older, family or whatever that has a whole bunch of boxes and stuff like that in their garage, and it's like you got one little path going in, you can almost guarantee that their house is pretty cluttered, okay? You see a pristine garage, okay? Everything's got its place. Everything has its place to be. The way I'm looking at it, everything has its place, right? So I see a broom laying out here. Now, this right here, maybe they went to her garbage and one of the technicians opened it and grabbed the garbage out. Maybe that's why the lid's not closed. But I would even beg to venture that she'd keep her garbage can closed. I'm curious to find out if somebody took all the garbage with them. So it's interesting. We see a lot in this picture without, knowing a lot about the case. But it's interesting what you're seeing. The one bad thing is I can't tell from this angle whether there was any blood in that garage like there was at that front door. Yeah, it's at 11. We got it pulled up. We're just waiting. So guys, if you guys are just coming in, we're going to be doing the press conference. We're going to be running the press conference on this show. Right now we have before our first live feed is set up, we have about 20 minutes. We have about 20 minutes on all of our live feeds right now, our major live feeds. So we've just got to talk and go through the case until we get a live feed up. Once we get a live feed up, we'll plug into that live feed. And once we get plugged into that live feed, we'll monitor that live feed until we go live so we don't miss anything. Typically how live feeds work, just in case if this is the first time you've come to a show where you're watching a live broadcast of a press conference on social media, we can't assume everybody knows what they're doing. What's going to end up happening is, even though it's scheduled for 1 p.m., it never starts on time. Okay. And we are kind of sitting there. Sometimes it could just be a few minutes behind where they're waiting, where we get started about 10 minutes in. Sometimes it could be 30 minutes. Sometimes I've been waiting for a solid hour before the press conference starts. The good news is this officer, this sheriff, in my opinion, had already had this pre-planned to have this press conference. What are they going to be talking about? I'd have to think that at least one reporter is going to bring up about the brother or the son-in-law. I would probably assume that somebody is going to bring up why they were back at the property yesterday. Why did they make it back out there? Hey, Susan, it's nice to see you. I think she was already in when she, hold on, let me read what you said. I think she was already in when she was made to go out the front door to get the camera off the wall herself so the culprit would not be seen on the That very well might explain. That was probably the best explanation of why that would be out where it was. Honestly. Could that be? Maybe. Very well possible. Very well possible. So she thinks that maybe she was forced out the front door to take that Nest doorbell camera off without the culprit being seen. Those are the kind of out of box, statements that I'm looking for. That does actually, be honest with you, when I read it, I could observe that happening. That could very well explain some of those. Now there was a spraying pattern, so she might have been hit while she was out the door too. I don't know where that spray came from. There's spray pattern on there, and I need to figure out what it was. Was she hit and blood spewed out of her, or did she sneeze after being hit with blood to get the blood out of her nose? My heart breaks for what this poor lady has gone through. Oh, there's something else. I pray her vehicle got checked. If you zoom in close, there's a spray bottle on the floor next to the broom. Oh, what is that? I think this is evidence of cleaning up, guys. I think this is personal. This is close. But we'll be optimistic until we find something that we can hook into, to really support our theory. I pray her vehicle got checked. It might have gotten checked. I seen the white car. Yeah, it's the white car that has it. Yeah, there might be some cleaning supplies out there because I don't know of any, I don't know why law enforcement would have that type of broom in the garage. That looks like that broom belongs in the garage because they're kind of walking around it, I didn't see them, take any broom in from their vehicle either. I've never seen them bring a broom but I could be wrong. I don't want to assume too much. Anyways, let's move on. There's got to be defensive marks on someone. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. Yeah, but if she was attacked in her bed, this is what I don't understand. This just came to my brain. If somebody broke into her back door, how could she not have heard it? And if she heard it when the back door broke in, why didn't she call 911? She would have had at least a few seconds, 10, 15, 20, maybe even 30 seconds to grab the phone and dial 911. We hear her Apple Watch was laying right next to her. She could have said, "Hey Siri, call 911. Somebody's breaking into my..." Oh, let's not do that. Okay, let's turn you off ever so slightly, but we can say, "Hey, so and so, call." Or something. Call emergency. Somebody's breaking in. I'm sure there was something that could have been said right then and there. I'm hopeful too. I mean, that is, the next thing is that we hope that whatever happened to her happened quickly if she's gone. But she needs her medication, guys. We saw Savannah. Savannah was, you could tell in her face, she's just traumatized. She's just traumatized. I feel so, and you can tell they're all traumatized. They were all very somber in their looks, very somber. It says has to be one of the roughest, toughest things that you could possibly go through. I mean, the manner, it's a little different when you have a mom that's had a full life, and it's the end days, and she goes in her sleep. You understand, not that it's not hard. It's going to be very, very difficult, but at the end of the day, thank you, Melanie. Let me get back here so I don't forget to say it. But when your parent passes in their sleep, when your parent has a heart attack and loses their life, or some other ailment, it hurts. It hurts like hell. But it's not this. It's not the unknown. It's not, where is my parent? What are they going through? It's not seeing this and knowing that they're being harmed. I mean, I can't imagine how hard this is. Everything is going to be hard because it's matter of hearts, matter of things that are tender. So anyways, because I'm a love machine, Melody gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. It looks like Mama Bear Curly Crime received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. The insane asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. She's broken. You could see it in her face. You could absolutely see it in her face. It's heartbreaking when you see that much pain overwhelming in someone. You feel it even through the screen. You feel that emotion. It's rough. It's hard. And then you look at the grandmother, like you look at her face and you look at her, she just seems so sweet and just kind and just genuine. And you know that she's been hurt really, really bad, and there's nothing you can do to help. And it tears you apart inside, just a little bit. It tears you apart inside. So let's see what we can see here. We're almost done with this. We got about another 15 seconds.
Gloves, yeah. What is happening right there? Like, is he photographing something?
Yeah, let me see if I can.
So they are looking at the. There's cleanup. There's cleanup. They're focusing on the garbage can. There's a broom laying out on the ground. You can see that they're looking at observing all of this. This is not normal. This is not normal. I truly do believe. I think they're looking at that thing. They must be thinking that there was, a burglar, a person that is calling in a ransom ain't gonna do all that. And now that's an assumption, folks. Let's make sure that's my assumption. Okay, our eyes could be fooling us, but this action here, he's looking at the garbage can. So let's look at what they're doing here. We got some time. Let's look. So he's kind of looking around. Looks like they're counting steps without trying to let them know.
On the drone.
What I'm seeing him do is it seems like he's walking it. If you looked how he was stepping, I think they're counting steps too. Watch.
On the drone. Let me see again.
Oh, hold on. See how he's stepping? He's going in a linear line, but he's stepping. So 1, 2, 3. So I think they're trying to fill out a report and talking about some of the stuff that they want. He's counting steps. I've seen officers do that before. They're counting steps. I know it should be measured, but when they're doing their own report, sometimes they don't have measuring tapes. They can only use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They know that their foot is, almost a foot, length. So they can calculate, right? But that's what it looks like. It looks like he's counting steps, the way his body movement is. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Shout out to Mo here on the drone.
Something's right there, and I think that's the broom. He stopped at the broom.
Getting things in the garage.
1, 2,
or are they just
3,
using it to go in and out?
4, 5,
The door's
6.
open. Look at the door.
They won't even let
Is that
him.
open?
They know the drone's there, so they're trying to do everything without anybody seeing their voice or their face and them talking. But he's definitely having calculated steps forward and backwards, looking at something. So I bet you that right there either has measurements on it or something in his hand. And let's just keep monitoring what he's doing here. So he's talking and speaking to the person in front of him, but we can't see it. Now, over here, we got this guy. We're not even paying attention to what this guy's doing. So let's start back at the beginning, and let's pay attention to just this guy over here. We see that guy stepping forward and stepping backwards. So now we see some type of backpack or item right here. We don't know what that is.
Shout out to Mo here on the drone.
It looks like it might be something that the officers, that's the officers.
Getting things in the garage.
So he's coming
or
back
are they just
over.
using it to go
Okay, so it looks like it might be his bag for his camera equipment. So we've got 3 people in here. We got somebody counting steps. I don't know what this person is doing just yet. And we got somebody that's observed with a camera, obviously taking some imagery.
in and out?
The door's open. Look at the door. That's open. Is that open?
So I can't tell if that's a glass door. It doesn't look like the door's open. It looks like that's a glass insert. So let's just go back a little bit. So this looks like it's a camera bag. So that explains that. But you're right. We have like a cleaning type of canister here. We have a knocked over broom here. We got a garbage can with the lid in the upright position. Was it like that, or did they put it like that when they went through the house the first time? And there is some staining. I do see some staining on the ground, but I don't think that's relevant at this moment, but it very well may be.
Door. That's open. Is that open? No, it's not open. It's closed.
That was his camera bag. And now...
Close, yeah. What is that?
Well, now they circle back. Somebody said something. Hold on. Okay. Leaving. Somebody says something. Up.
Yeah. What is happening right there? Like, is he photographing something?
Here, let me see if I can.
And he went to grab the lid and he decides to stop and then they moved it over. Hold on, what is he doing?
I don't know.
It looks like he's doing something there. So I think the stuff that they're around, the stuff that they're around on here seems like it would be the stuff for potentially a cleanup, folks. Cleanup. So we got just a little under 3 minutes before our first live feed comes through. So if you guys want to take a few moments and go to the restroom, get yourself a beverage. I don't anticipate this being a very long interview or our press conference. They may address some things, off the rip. They may wait for the question to be asked, but I do believe that at least one of the questions are going to be asked about the son-in-law, and I believe at least one of the questions will be asked of why they went back to the property. I think those are going to be the two tidbit of info. Oh, and probably the, you know, everything around the son-in-law as well. Like, you know, was the car impounded? You know, and they may give you a very benign answer like it was impounded, but it's just standard operating procedure or standard and customary in a situation like this, to really down and dumb down that allegation that he's involved. Now, why is it so important, even if he is involved, that they dumb that down? It's very simple. It's very simple. They want to make sure that he stays cooperative, right? They want him to still believe he's a witness. They don't want him to know that they are looking at him as a suspect, right? And if he's not asking them and he's answering their questions, well, that's on him, right? So the minute we start pointing our finger at him and saying, he's under investigation, they believe he did it, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to shut up and he's going to get himself an attorney. What is the one thing that law enforcement doesn't want a suspect to do? Shut up and get an attorney. So do you see how important it is for this information to come out? And I'm not blaming Ashley, because if she's got if I get breaking news, like, I think abstinence is the best, right? Just don't let it leak, and you don't have to worry about it, right? But when it leaks, we run with it. We run with the story. So if people, so if people get information like they're looking at Tom, for her to keep that to herself would almost be journalistic malpractice, in all honesty. And everybody wants to come and beat you up with a pitchfork when you break news and stuff like that, right? But you have to remember that that's the job of a journalist, to break news, to find ways to be creative in acquiring the breaking news, right? Nobody's going to come out and hand stuff to you. You got to work for it, okay? You got to work for it. But you guys are right. These people lawyer up. And that's why they want to keep and make sure he feels like he is not a suspect. But at the end of the day, we know common sense. And obviously, if he's smart, he has common sense. He was the last one to see this woman. I finally got information that will help us with that, ascertain that. Where was it? I don't know if I've got it right here. It might be in my saved area. I've got a whole file saved. But basically, what we're dealing with is a it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I lost my train of thought. Either way, it will be what it is. Okay, we're starting. We have. All right. First. Make sure my feeds are going through right. Okay. First feed's coming in. First feeds are coming in. I will be changing this, but we're going to be listening to it because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So I'm standing by for other live feeds to come in, and once we start getting the other live feeds coming in, I'll see which one I like the best, and we'll select that one to roll with. So this is the only one that's being set up right now. So guys, if you guys have not realized, we are going to be doing this live press conference together today. This is related to, let me go ahead and just kill the sound on this one for right now, just to get the noise out of my ear. we're going to be rolling with the press conference today. As you guys see, they are setting up. Now, getting back and trying not to lose my train of thought again. What are we going to hear today? This was already pre-scheduled from the last live that they had done, the last press conference that they've done. They said we'll do another press conference on Thursday around the same time. This is Thursday around the same time. So this was already a pre-scheduled. This is before the allegations of the son-in-law being a primary suspect. This was prior to the allegations of Annie's car being impounded and logged into evidence. This is prior to the brother getting into town. So there's a lot of different information that has changed since we heard that we were setting this up for Thursday around the same time. I do anticipate those types of questions being asked at this press conference. It would be better for them to get in front of them. Go ahead and answer those questions for the world. Have that prepared statement. Don't try to willy-nilly put it together, right? And that's what does happen. They are on the spot. They're not prepared to answer the type of questions that they need to answer. He needs to be firing on all cylinders. This is a high stakes game right now, okay? We have an 84-year-old woman that has a pacemaker that needs life-saving medication, and has been missing for about 5 days. This is as bad as it can get, folks, okay? This is about as bad. Not many mics on the podium. That's quite a bit, but a lot of people are using smaller mics now. Okay, I've been in the business. Even the people they're using lapel mics now. You'll see a lot of them lining up along the top. We have some big mics. I still have I got a big mic with Bullhorn Betty block on it. So when we're out there, we didn't once have it, and since I bought it, I haven't been able to use it at a press conference yet. But it will be at a press conference near you. You'll see, instead of seeing Fox 12, you'll see one that says Bullhorn Betty. So that's the way it's going to be, guys. Again, we are going to be monitoring this. This is coming from. They're going to be. Let's get the top of that flag. There we go. I think that will be good. It's right in the center. And that's kind of what I want. I want to have one that's right in the center, kind of like me. This is not quite in the center. Okay. All right, that's where I want it. Let me see if my other live feeds have come in yet. Nope. Nope. I have no live feeds yet for the other sources. So I might replace this with the other sources. We'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. So we're going to get back to here. We're going to start going over some of the stuff while we wait. I've got the volumes up on everything. We will not miss this press conference. We will listen to it as it goes live. We're going to hear the check, the mic checks and everything else. But until that time, let's go ahead and get back to where we were on this case.
I'm hearing this is proof of life. That's what I'm hearing for any potential person that might be holding her for ransom. What are you hearing out there where you are?
Yeah, clearly the family in that gut-wrenching video are hinting, at the very least, or hinting very strongly that there is a kidnapping situation here. Although Savannah Guthrie started that part of the video saying, "We are aware of the media reports about a ransom note," but then she's appeared to directly address a potential kidnapper, saying, Sean, "We are ready to talk, but we need to know with absolute certainty that she," meaning Nancy Guthrie, "is alive."
And this is smart. She is smart about this because we need to know that she is alive. All of this is all for nothing if she's not alive. Now, we did talk briefly about, let me see, do I want this one? Hold on. I need to The second feed's up, but they need to go out a little bit. They're too close. They're too close to the podium. They're too close to the podium. But anyways, they were discussing this. They came out. They're embracing this.
Check one, 2, 3.
They are embracing this ransom note, but is it legitimate? I really don't know. We discussed a pacemaker. While I was at my meeting this morning, I will tell you, I checked on the pacemaker. All right, let's get this. This looks like we're getting good for this.
Okay, got it. Yep. Wait, hold on. Which one is it?
Sorry, I got to make sure all my screens are cohesive. All right, guys, I think we're going to roll with this one. Oops. Now I got somebody's head in the way. Sit down! Sit down! What the hell? We don't want to see your gray hair. I don't want to see your gray hair. Okay. All right, guys, I think we're going to sit tight. It looks like it's getting ready to start at any moment now. Maybe I'll mute it. We still have this feed as well. So we'll see. I'll figure out which feeds I like. This feed looks the cleanest and clearest. That looks pretty clear too. Do you guys like feed 1? Well, let me get feed. Hold on, let me get feed 3 up too. Hold on, let me get feed 3 up. We got another feed. All right. Well, the third feed's not up yet. So let's go to the chat. Do you guys like feed 1 or feed 2? Feed 1. Well, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna find once they start rolling in. I'm gonna decide which one I like. There we go. We'll get on this side for right now. So if you guys have not hit the thumbs up, please hit the thumbs up. Put your number in the chat as you see. Peace and love. It's nice to see you. Peace and love. Said 119. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Would you be so kind? Come in the chat. Let us know what number you are, where you are, and what the temperature is in your area. You don't have to be specific. You don't have to give us the county. You can give us Northwest, Washington. You can give us, you can give us the county. You can give us the region if you want. Or you can just give us the state. That would be great. That would be great. Okay, so we have a mix of 1s and 2s already. I want the one I can actually hear. Well, we can definitely hear out of both of them. Let's see. Oh, this is the one that's bringing in the more hearing. This one is not. See, we can still hear when I got this one. So, I guess we'll find out here just shortly, but it looks like number 2 is going to have the best audio if we're basing it upon that, because this is where the audio goes. See? We hear the audio from the other one, but it's not like this. Now you can really hear this one. I don't know. Daytona Beach 51. Woohoo! Woohoo! Love that. Louisiana 52. That's better. Michigan 22. Jersey 20. Sucker. Don't worry. We had a front move in this morning before I left the house. It was pouring down rain. Ohio 19. Let's mute this for a second. Oops, that's the wrong one. Gotta remember, this is the one with the sound. We got one with the sound. Oh, hold on.
And it's Yankee for...
Okay, so we can hear them. But it's just lower. So it's easier for us. We'll figure it out. We'll get this one back up. 5-minute warning, folks. 5-minute warning. Okay, so let me spill this out real quick. So we got North Mississippi 34, Michigan 22. It is cold as an Eskimo in Pennsylvania. Central Louisiana is 52 degrees. We got 51 in Daytona Beach. We're reporting it's very cold in Michigan. Polk County feels like 24. 15 in New York, 28 in New York, 51 in Orlando. Oh, we got some Florida people. Oh, I need to come visit around Florida. PA, Gettysburg area, PA, 29 degrees. Woo! Woo! Political weather. Cold, Betty. Thank you, Wesley. 30 degrees in eastern Tennessee.
The sheriff is not doing any one-on-one interviews today other than what he has already scheduled, okay?
Woo!
If you need something in Spanish, I will do it directly after this. I'll be over here. One question, one follow-up question. That is it. If things start getting out of hand, we're going to wrap it up, okay? The sheriff is not doing any one-on-one interviews today other than what he has already scheduled, okay? If you need something in Spanish, I will do it directly after this. I'll be over here by this flag. Let me know. And other than that, does anyone have any questions specifically to the press conference? Go ahead.
We can ask questions to both the youths as well.
Yes, just direct your question to who you want it to, okay?
Interesting.
Anyone else? All right, I appreciate your guys' patience. Sorry if I haven't responded to your emails. My name's Angelica. I'm sure I've been communicating with a lot of you guys, okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
So no private one-on-one interviews. They are really pulling the sheriff back. Oh, thank you, Sammy. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the insane asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard, Gail. 62 degrees. Steph says 145. Please, let's get those thumbs up. We have 328 people in chat right now. Let's get those thumbs up. We should have at least 328 thumbs up. Otherwise, why are you here? Why are you here?
Anybody? I'll start in 1 second.
So 5-minute warning, folks. We're going to be starting very, very, very soon.
Everybody's good? Anybody need a white balance? Anybody need a white balance? Anybody? No?
Let me do that. Okay, we're gonna mute.
Just in case.
We're gonna mute Fox. We're gonna mute the Fox feed. We're gonna mute the Fox feed and just have the.
Good. Anybody else?
Let me refresh them both so we get the cleanest feed on both of them. Okay, so we get more of a different view on this one. Sonia gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships, don't forget to tell Sonia. Thank you, Miss Sonia. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. Miss Southern Grammy, peace and love. West Virginia, holla girl. Flor, it's nice to see you. Mama Jax, it's nice to see you. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the insane asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. Appreciate that. That's sweet. Nora, it's nice to see you. Aw, thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, if you don't know, come on in. We're going to be doing the live press conference. This press conference is related to Nancy Guthrie. She's the 84-year-old elderly lady that has mobility issues that was taken out of her bed in the middle of the night and forced out of her home. Nobody knows where she is. Her pacemaker disconnected to the Apple Watch at around 2 a.m. Was that the time of death or the time she departed her home? I guess only time will tell. This is a very serious situation. We have learned from Ashley Banfield that it is believed that the brother-in-law may be involved somehow, or in my opinion, it could be just normal customary stuff. We don't know. At the end of the day, we do feel that whoever is doing this to her, excuse me,
please email me. It's going to be PCSD.
Whoever is doing this to her is, or has done this to her, seems to have been targeted. This seems to have been pre-planned. So we need to find out who would benefit from this situation. I can tell you, it looks to me like the siblings are devastated. When we look at them on camera, they all look absolutely whipped. I can't imagine going through what they are going through at this moment. But they are staying strong. They're staying focused. One thing I got from Nancy Grace is that I had originally thought maybe it's possible that maybe law enforcement wasn't taking this seriously enough, and maybe they just went ahead and did this. But Nancy Grace believes that they're following the instruction of law enforcement and probably had their blessings, and they probably helped them set this all up. So I just wanted to give you guys that. And after this is all wrapped up, let me write it down. The pacemaker. I got some more information on the pacemaker. It's not good for us, but at least we'll have some clarification on it. But I did speak to somebody, and I did also do some research, and I do have some findings that are interesting to you. Okay, guys, we are starting right now.
Thursday to you, we're coming on the air with some breaking news in Arizona, where the Pima County Sheriff is about to provide an update on the disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of our dear friend and colleague, Savannah. Let's listen in.
I hope you've been kind of informed of the rules. That I'm going to try to get as many, if not all of you, an opportunity to ask a question. But last time we tried this, it was just kind of chaotic, people yelling. So I'd ask that you just kind of be patient with me, pay attention to the questions asked, because sometimes you guys want to ask the same question twice, and you're going to get the same answer. So help yourself get what you can out of this. I'm going to give you one question and a follow-up, okay? But before we get there, I do have some comments. First of all, I want to begin by offering our condolences to our partners at the state Department of Public Safety's tragically lost 2 members last night in a helicopter crash up in northern Arizona. So if you would keep them in your prayers, Colonel Glover and his team, I'm sure, would have greatly appreciated it. Along the same lines, I think you all saw last night, I'm trying to speak up, not yell, because apparently I talk soft. We saw last night the family, they just hurt, understandably so. And so I really want you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you. We really just want Mom back, okay? Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Our department, the Sheriff's Department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock. And we just want her home and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do. But I have other partners out there who have stepped up, and you've probably noticed them in the last few days, if not the last few hours, and you're going to see more of that. Well, I made a decision to contact our PCRIT team, and those of you not local, that's our Pima Regional Critical Incident Team. It's made up of law enforcement officers from this entire valley. Pasquayaki Police Department, Tucson Police Department, Marana Police Department, Oro Valley Police Department, Pima College Police Department, this is Tucson International Police Department, Sarita Police Department. There's so many of them, and they are going to help us tremendously. And that's really done because we have so much in front of us still, and we're hoping that, I know the FBI has committed a very large number of men and women to partner with us, work side by side with us. We go do an interview, they're going to be there with us. We're going to go look at some evidence or process evidence, they're going to be right there with us. We're sharing every piece of information, all the data we can to get this thing solved. And it's important that my partners in law enforcement know and understand their roles, because it is very large, complex investigation with a lot of moving parts. And we're at that phase now where sometimes we're waiting, right? We're waiting for analysis. We're waiting for lab reports. But even then, when they come back quickly, for example, some DNA, we rushed what we thought was the best target for DNA. We did a rush through and got some of that back. The results were minimal. I think you all know of the blood on the porch. That was one we did. It came back to Nancy. That's what we know. But there's still more items that have been submitted. We just haven't got them back yet. But in the meantime, we're not just sitting on our haunches waiting. We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why we brought in the FBI for one, but PCRIT as well, to be able to get out there and handle these leads as they come in as quickly and as expeditiously as we can. And every single lead is looked at, every one of them. And so we're gearing up. You probably have some questions about what you've seen in the last couple of days. I'll gladly answer those at that time. But it really is about getting our partners out there. To be fair, when we went to that scene the first night, Saturday night, it was just us. Since then, the FBI and others have asked, can we go and see it as well? And that's what you've been seeing. But it is a very important case to not just me and my team, but this entire community, all of our law enforcement partners. Suspects. I know there's been a lot out there about suspects, and I want to be very clear. At this time, we have not identified a suspect or a person of interest in this case. We are working our best to do that. But to be clear, we have nobody of interest or any suspects that you would consider a prime suspect. We're just not there. We're not there yet. The timeline, I think we've got it on the board, do we not? This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that we've had processed. Various pieces of electronics that we've gathered. And you look at some of this, and I know you're going to say, well, why did it take you so long to get this to us, Sheriff? Well, because one thing, it's got to go out and be processed at different lab sites. And sometimes that stuff comes back to us, and like you, we have questions. And we say, wait a minute, what is this about? What about this? Could it be that? And so it's sent back, or it's sent somewhere else. So, and that's happening with all of the things we see, that process, that review, and that questioning of, all right, what is it we're looking at? So I'll go over it with you. You can see it on the board there, but at about 5:32 p.m., these are approximate times. 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to her local family's home for dinner and playing games with the family. Just visiting. At 9:48 p.m., which is very consistent to what we were told by the family, that Nancy was dropped off at home, and we know that because we have a garage door open at approximately.
She's got a security system.
At approximately 9:48 p.m.
She's got a security system.
At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes, which is that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects.
Boom. Boom. 1:47,
At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. It just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. we're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So that detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video, but we're not giving up on that. 228, Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone. And at 11:56 a.m., the family checks on Nancy and discovers her missing. And at 12:03 p.m., 911 is called in to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. I believe it's about approximately 10 minutes later, 12 minutes later, our patrol teams arrive. They see the scene, and we start our response with our search and rescue teams and our detectives from homicide and various units. In fact, every unit
good
here, I think
clarification.
somebody questioned, how come there's an ICAC member out here or this member? Everybody in our criminal investigations team is a part of this team and part of this investigative effort. I think with that, let me make sure.
She did. That's how they knew the garage went up. That's how I know she had
I want to clarify some things that I may have already done, but yeah, I've gone over with the blood at the front door, the doorbell camera. It was removed. We know that, but we're not confirming that any cameras were smashed or destroyed around the house. I don't know where that came from, but that's something we're not confirming. The car. The car that was at the home, it's just standard investigative practices. It's part of the search warrant scene, court orders. We pull it out of there and do our scene processing with the vehicle. Uber. We did speak to a driver because Nancy, we learned, had been taken the Uber to the family residence, the daughter, for dinner. And we located that driver and spoke with them and got that information. The house, you guys got this, I think, conducting follow-up. I think you said somebody had mentioned that they saw a team out there again last night or yesterday, and that's just, again, what I was talking about before. Our partners wanted a chance to see it and examine things themselves, and more importantly, it's just we're constantly following up on things and go, hey, what about this? So we want to go back and check on some things. Here's the other thing. Someone had mentioned there was forced entry. I have no clue where that comes from. We have been very consistent. We are not discussing that at all, whether it's forced entry or not forced entry. That is something we're just not discussing. So I don't know where anybody got that information. I think I am about done with my piece of this. I'm going to bring up here Heath Yankee, and I think you know him if you haven't been here. John Edwards is the assistant agent in charge with the FBI here at the Tucson office. Heath Yankee is the special agent in charge for the state of Arizona out of Phoenix, and he will come up and speak.
Thank you, Sheriff. Hello, I'm Heath Yankee, the special agent in charge of the FBI's Phoenix division. First, I want to let the Guthrie family know that our hearts are heavy for them. After seeing your message last night, it is clear that you and your family are in pain. Please know that we are doing everything to bring your mother home. The FBI is now working this case jointly with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, and we're going to start today by announcing a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie and or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance, and this will be the missing persons with the reward that will be going out. The FBI has agents, analysts, and professional staff employees working day and night with our partners at the Sheriff's Department. We have deployed additional intelligence and agents from our Phoenix office. We have brought in our critical incident response group from Quantico, Virginia. Members from our cellular analysis survey team are here, and they continue to collect and process digital information. We are actively reviewing and analyzing information from all digital sources, which includes banks, social media companies, phone companies, and any other organizations where a digital footprint could have been captured. All this information provides data points and helps put the picture together. And we will be in the community continuing to conduct a thorough investigation with our partners. You heard about us out there last night. We will be back out there today. I would ask the media, give our investigators the space to do their jobs while they're out there. Next, regarding the ransom letter. We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family. And while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. Thank you to those in the community that have called in tips. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov. My next message is to those imposters who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation. We will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions. We have made one arrest related to an imposter ransom demand, and a complaint will be presented to a magistrate judge later today. You will get more on that from the FBI and our U.S. Attorney's Office here in Arizona when it becomes available. To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing. This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing before this becomes a worse, much worse scenario for you. Please return Nancy home. Thank you.
All right, so you want to call them and you want me to call them?
You can call them up.
Okay, so the first person we're going to start with the list is going to be NBC National, Liz Prince. Right here.
Can you walk us through that timeline from when you believe, if you look at this here, from 147 to 228, what you think happened there and what particular software would have detected somebody on camera?
Good questions.
I don't. I know we know the software that was there. But I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm just not in the weeds. I know that think of your doorbell cameras. Somebody walks up. My wife's. If I walk up, she gets an alert, and it's usually something like that. A person's detected.
So to understand then the follow-up, one, does that mean that it was about a 45-minute span that this suspect or suspects would have been on the property? And then also, does this essentially mean that you've cooperated with the tech companies and you can officially say that no surveillance video is available from them?
45 minutes
We
at
know
the house.
that the tech company that we sent that camera off to, yes, they've said they've run out of ways to recover any video.
Next
was that about 45
next
minutes?
person's going to be ABC News, Aaron Katersky.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Was what 45 minutes?
Can we say it's about a 45-minute span that somebody would have been on the property then, from 147 to 228?
Yeah, I think those times speak for themselves, and it is about, like I say, those are approximates. So yes. I'm sorry. Who was next? Did you say?
Aaron Katersky, ABC News.
Hi, Sheriff. Thanks very much. Is there information that you are purposefully withholding because of the active investigation that might be leading you in a particular direction?
You know, this is no different than any criminal investigation that we conduct here. Law enforcement has conducted investigations since 1865 here in Pima County. We're always mindful of what it is that's in front of us and what we should release and can release. There's legal guidelines that guide us, but there's also strategy too. So, you know, I'll leave that for you to determine.
Now that you are having such an injection of manpower from the Pima critical incident team and the FBI, were you slow to bring that in at the outset? Should all of these resources been brought to bear sooner?
I guess that, you know, it's Monday morning quarterbacking. I do it all the time, so you have the opportunity to do it for me. I'll take that hit.
CBS News, Jonathan Vigliotti.
Sheriff, over here, has there been any proof of life, and has there been any signs of life?
Great question.
I'm going to, anything to deal with the ransom notes and that, I would defer to the FBI, but no, to my knowledge, we're still looking for Nancy.
And for my follow-up question, if I can speak with the special agent, what was it about this apparent ransom note that now 3 days on you first haven't been able to validate, and second, it warranted informing the Guthries of its existence?
So the ransom note that was sent out there, obviously every lead in this case we are taking extremely serious.
But not everyone is presented to the family. Why this one?
Because this was the ransom that came in and it had facts associated with a deadline, with a monetary value they were asking for. So at that point,
what were some of those facts, if you can, because there's been a lot of speculation, as you know, if you can set the record straight.
yeah, the ransom itself, one talked about an Apple Watch and one talked about a floodlight. We're not going to go into specifics. It's very important that we keep this investigation moving forward, and we don't want to put more facts out there that others then can use to try to profit from this.
Who else would know about
CNN, next, Ed Lavandera.
Agent, I want to follow up with you real quick on that. There have been, as far as we know, I think 3 ransom notes so far, 1 arrest. Are they all different, or do you think there's different authors behind all of them, or?
So the one that went to the media is the one we were currently investigating and working on. The imposter that I talked about, where an arrest was made early this morning, that there will be more information. We believe there's no evidence to connect this to Nancy's case. It was someone that was trying to profit from it, a total imposter.
And Sheriff, you started off the press conference by saying you believe that Nancy is still out there. Do you have reason to believe that she's still out there alive, or are you fearful of the worst case scenario here, that she won't be found alive?
Well, I'm certainly fearful of that. I think we all are. But it is we operate from a position that until we know she's out there, she's alive, and we're going to continue thinking that way until we find her.
Fox Digital, Mike Reese.
Yeah, sir. Michael Rose from Fox Digital. Sheriff, you said you've identified no suspects. Have you ruled out anyone she was with on Saturday night?
You know, we've talked to so many. I'm sure that my investigators have feelings about this one's clear or this one isn't. But no, I wouldn't say anybody's ruled out yet, because what if I rule you out and then later I learn something else? No.
So my follow-up, you mentioned that you don't know where the reporting of a forced entry came from. Do we know how whoever did this got into her house?
That I would not discuss with you anyway.
Fox News, Paul Morrow.
Question for Agent Edwards, if I may. Agent Edwards, will the Bureau be submitting the DNA for an investigative genealogical investigation relative to maybe hitting a relative, somebody if you will?
I would say the DNA aspect of this case is being handled by the Pima County Sheriff's Department right now. However, should we get to that point, yes, that would be an option for the FBI to assist.
And a quick follow-up. Does the ransom note that you're working establish any communication protocols in it?
No, it does not. And that is what I think is important, that if someone has Nancy and demanding the ransom, that there is communication with the family. We talked about there has been no proof of life, and there was no other demands within that letter. So they're still waiting for communication.
ABC affiliate, Ashley Holden.
Right here, Ashley Holden. When you say the doorbell camera was disconnected, do you believe that camera was taken?
We do not have it in our possession. We've not located it.
And then a follow-up. I know that we've been hearing a lot about ransom notes. We were also hearing in that video that was put out by the Guthrie siblings, and I don't know if this is a question for the FBI or yourself, but the challenges of seeing an image and knowing that it's real. Could one of you address that? Has the family received correspondence, any images, videos?
So we're not going to go into facts regarding this part of the investigation. I think part of that message was with AI, these days, you can make videos that appear to be very real. So we can't just take a video and trust that that is a proof of life these days because of the advancements in AI and trying to actually get a proof of life that we can verify. But we're not going to go into anything the family may or may not have received.
KOLD, Catherine Patterson.
So in regards to a timeline on that ransom note, is that being an impact in your investigation? Are we nearing that timeline?
I'm sorry, one more time.
So in regards to the timeline in the ransom note, are we nearing that timeline? And is that playing a part in the investigation?
We're not going to go again into specifics of that part of the investigation with the ransom note other than what we've put out there. We've been transparent. We're talking about we are working that ransom demand, but we don't want to go anything further than that could impact any opportunities. So thank you.
Is there any additional physical evidence at the crime scene other than the technology that you guys are using for this timeline? Is there anything else that's helping you guys other than really the technology?
Well, I think I said on day one is that it's technology that's going to really help us solve this case. But no, I mean, we did do a process of that scene for biological evidence, so we're still hopeful that maybe something will show up there as well.
Arizona Republic, Richard Relas.
Raging Yankee? Yes. We saw on the scene, I believe it was you, taking a tripod into the home of the sister. How involved was the FBI, if at all, in creating the video? Any advice for the family on what to see?
I would say we use our expertise and provide consultation and advice anytime a family would ask for our advice in a kidnapping. It's ultimately the family's decision of what they put out and any messages they put out. But we were, obviously, you're all documenting every move we make. We were there last night in talking with the family. But every decision is theirs.
Right, and that was a tripod and a ring light. And Sheriff Nano, you've said the blood was found on the porch and on the front stoop. Just wanted to verify that.
I say porch, front stoop. It's all in that same general area by the front door.
Front of the house.
Front door, yes.
What, given her medical condition and the fact that it was her blood, as you say, what would her medical condition do with her recovery if she indeed bled out or was bleeding when she left the house?
Well, again, I've got to be careful for HIPAA, but I would say this. We know she is in need of medication, daily medication. And we also know that this is day 4 or 5, and still we don't know that she's getting her medication. That could in itself prove fatal.
And for the,
that'll be the question. For KGUN News, we have Craig Smith or Athena.
I'll get that for you. I'll get his name.
Craig?
KGUN, Athena.
Oh, okay.
Have you been in communication with anyone who you believe could be the kidnapper?
It goes back to what we talked about. Nobody's eliminated. But we just really don't have enough to say, this is our suspect, this is our guy, we know, or our gal. We just don't know that. And it's really kind of reckless to report that someone is a suspect when they could very well be a victim. It just, I bring to you, to the media, I plead with you to be careful of what it is we put out there, because we don't have anybody here listed as a suspect, and you could actually be doing some damage to the case, but you could do some damage to that individual too. Social media is kind of an ugly world sometimes.
And how far out have you expanded your search these days?
I would tell you this, look, nothing's off the table. If we get a lead that there's somebody, hey, you've got this over here or over here, we're going, and that will expand and expand and expand. I think the FBI, with their billboards, they're now planning to put those up at every state around here, at all of our neighboring states. So we use you, the national media, the FBI with their national outreach to affect that for us. But as far as the actual investigation, naturally the scene is the primary, and we just keep spreading it out as we get more and more leads.
Court TV, Cody Thomas.
Right here, Sheriff. Actually, my question is for Agent Yonke. You know, we saw Savannah Guthrie and her siblings, family, put out that video last night on Instagram addressing, you know, the tragedy that this is, but also addressing the ransom letter saying they're ready to talk. My question is, did the FBI or any other agency help them craft that message to put out on social media?
Like I said to the previous question, we have an expertise when it comes to kidnappings. And when families want advice, consultation, expertise, we will provide that. But the ultimate decisions on what they say and how they put that out rests with the family itself.
And as far as suspects, I know we haven't identified one, but what type of suspect or suspects do we think we're dealing with here?
Good question.
At this time, like the sheriff has said, there is no primary suspect identified, so it could run the gamut. So.
KPNX, Troy Hayden.
Are you actively investigating the son-in-law in this case? I know there were reports earlier this week, and you refuted that. You said you haven't eliminated everybody. Have you eliminated him or come close to it, or are you actively looking at him?
We're actively looking at everybody we come across in this case. Everybody. We would be irresponsible if we didn't talk to everybody. The Uber driver, the gardener, the pool person, whoever. Everybody is so cliche, but everybody's still a suspect in our eyes. That's just how we look at things and think as cops. Does that mean we have a prime suspect? No, and the family has been very cooperative. They've done everything we've asked of them, and we want that relationship to continue. And sometimes people can be mean out there, and that can really harm us and harm our efforts.
Did you find blood anywhere else in the home besides the porch?
The only DNA evidence we've got back is on the porch. We prioritize things and we rush things, and those items we put out to a lab to rush it. And even then, it's 2, 3, 4 days. The other items could take 10 days, 20 days, but we saw the importance of that blood. It came back to Nancy.
So it was only there, it wasn't anywhere else in the house?
I don't know that. We processed the house for biological evidence, and we've not gotten anything back.
Newsmax, Sarah Williamson.
Hi there. My question is just piggybacking off our colleagues here about how far this search has gone. When it comes to doorbell cameras, you say technology plays a critical role in this. Have you been actively door knocking the neighbours and businesses and collecting those doorbell cameras? And is there anything that has come up there? And how far is that?
I can't tell you whether things have come up or not, but we have door-to-door. I think we're still doing door-to-door, not just in that neighborhood, but other neighborhoods. Just as leads come in and take us somewhere, we're going to do those things.
Okay, and just to follow up as well in regards to the video that was released by Nancy Guthrie's children last night, just to clarify, that was not coordinated with any law enforcement beforehand, and that you hadn't seen that video before.
Why does that matter?
The FBI is handling all things with the ransom.
I think the answer was yes, we were there. The media was there. We can help coordinate, provide that consultation, but that is the family's decision of what they film and what they put out.
Fox 10, Justin Loom.
Agent Yonke, this one's for you. Following up on that video that was released yesterday, you said, ultimately any further action is decided on by the family. Since then, have they expressed any more interest in more efforts to try and get in contact with who is behind the ransom letter? And do you have a crisis or any sort of hostage negotiator with your team for that type of situation if it moves forward?
So the two parts of that question I think it's pretty clear. The family wants to be contacted. They know time is of the essence. And if those that may have Nancy are watching this, the family is ready to talk, get proof of life, because there has been no contact after that ransomware note or ransom note went to the media. For your second question, yes, we have crisis negotiators. That is part of our team here locally, along with the personnel we brought in from Quantico, and they will be part of it. But we're not going to go beyond that of any specifics.
Sheriff Nanos, taking down the crime scene perimeter after Monday's investigation and really opening access to that property to everyone else, was that something you would do differently looking back, knowing that federal authorities also conducted a search yesterday? Would you have kept that perimeter up doing that?
You know, Monday morning quarterback, I probably would have, but I'll say this. We processed the scene. We got what we thought was complete. My team did that. I have to have all the faith and trust in their abilities and their skills, and I think they went through that pretty well. But because another agency now steps in and wants to assist, we're just like with you, we're an open book. Absolutely. How can we help? One of the things people don't see, I heard your question about, we left and then others could walk up. When we process a scene and we're done, we return that scene to in this case, the homeowners, the family. And we don't just go march back in there. We call the family again and get permissions to go back to the home. So, yeah, there's, again, Monday morning quarterback, absolutely. I probably could have held off on that. We knew that the FBI, we've worked with them before in a lot of cases, and we felt like they could be of help in this with particularly the forensic analysis we use in a number of things. But at the start of this thing, we weren't sure what we had, and as the day progressed, we realized that there could be more to this, and we started in that. Remember, it was a search and rescue mission the first few hours, and we transitioned that over to a criminal investigation. With that, brought in our partners from the FBI and others.
Have you heard from President Trump?
Claudia Ramos? Univision, Claudia
I was
Ramos.
actually going to ask about that. We saw the message yesterday.
Are you next?
Claudia, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Univision. Following up on that, we saw the message from the president yesterday. Have you personally received any communication from him or
No, and I wouldn't expect that. He too is a busy man, right? And I would say this: we thank him for him opening up his entire law enforcement team was put out yesterday, and we know, I know my local reporters here know. We've always worked well with all of our partners in law enforcement. Maybe it's something unique to Southern Arizona and the rest of the country doesn't see that, but this isn't new for us. We've done this. Gabby Giffords, I headed up that investigation many years ago, and we worked side by side. Could not have got things done if we weren't with the FBI on that.
And just the other question, this being a border state, have you guys had any communication with Mexican authorities?
I have not. I work closely with the Mexican consulate, as other consulates, being the sheriff, but no, I've not heard from them.
Arizona, Univision, Madres.
Hi, Sheriff. My question is, do you know, it's a two-part question, do you know what medication Nancy uses? And have you checked local pharmacies or pharmacies around the state where they've bought, per se, this medication to keep her alive, to keep her healthy, while still look for her?
So we do know what medications, and we have contacted pharmacies. Probably need to go back to just make sure that they didn't, maybe we contacted them early on. I know that night, Sunday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, I know we were doing all the hospital checks, and that check was continuous every hour, going back out. And physically in person, deputies were going to each local area hospital and asking them to check their logs.
My second question here is, I know you're looking for her in Pima County. Are you looking for her across the state now? And if so, if there's a particular area that you're focusing on right now?
Well, we're looking for her everywhere, right? The FBI just made an arrest on a tip that we got that we thought there could be something here. It's statewide. The billboards are going to be out there across the country. We take leads from everywhere, and where those leads take us, we'll get there.
MS Now, Alex Talbot.
Agent Yankee, do you have any reason to believe that Nancy Guthrie may be being held outside of the country? Is that something that you ruled out at this point?
We don't have any of that information. We haven't ruled anything out. Like the sheriff said, we will follow the facts wherever they take us, whether it is outside of the state of Arizona or over the border. We will follow the facts and go there, but we have no indication anything over the Mexican border.
And you mentioned on the ransom note there were details about the Apple Watch and the floodlight.
Yep.
The ransom notes that were sent out to TMZ, KGUN, and KOLD. Are they all the same ransom note? Do they contain the same details in each of those individual ransom notes?
The ones that I am tracking and aware of were the same. That went to TMZ also.
News
Okay.
We're the
Nation,
same.
Brian Enton.
Agent Yankee, sorry, over here.
Yes.
When did the first ransom note arrive? And the reason I ask is because the
Brian
Apple Watch
Enton.
has been in the news and on social media,
First
and you can
ransom
see like
arrived.
floodlights on
No.
video. So was it before those things were out in the world?
I don't have the specific time frame as I sit here today of what time it came in, but that you are right. Anyone could see a floodlight hanging down, could have seen some of those things. The watch has been talked about, so that timing is tricky, but that's why we're taking it serious no matter what and following the leads on that. But I don't have the time frame that the first note came in as I sit here today. Thank you.
And my follow-up is for the sheriff. In the house, were there any signs that someone tried to clean up or maybe destroy evidence?
I can't talk about the crime scene, so I'll give you another shot, another question.
My other question is, I heard the agents say that it was a joint investigation now. At the other press conference, the FBI said they were assisting. Is it joint now? I mean, are both agencies in charge now?
Look, there's no ego here. We in this part of the country, we'll take anybody's help. It's not about who's in charge. From day one, when we contacted the FBI, they were that gracious to say, whatever you need. And so that's really it. And they're great partners, just as my other local law enforcement brethren. I didn't even have to ask. That's what's really amazing. I haven't had to call anybody. They've called me. Sheriff, what do you need?
Arizona's family, Brianna Whitney.
Sheriff. I know you had the crime scene process. You said you went back out there. Your partners wanted to see it. But you guys were actively taking out evidence yesterday. Was there something you missed the first time, or did you get a new piece of information that led you to believe you needed to go back out and take more than you had that first day?
You know, I know that we get information that will come, and this is just any crime scene that we look at. We may go out to a crime scene and think we've got it all, go analyze the evidence, and something comes back and says, hey, did you check this? We're not going to just say, oops, and not go.
So
Absolutely. In this instance, it really was the FBI just wanted to go, hey, can we take a look at it?
Are you worried about that being contaminated at all because there was people in there?
You know, I'll let the courts worry about that. We will certainly be open to the courts of anything that's been removed from that house, and we follow the rules of laws. We get court orders and go back and reapply for another warrant if need be. All of those things we're very careful of.
Arizona Public Media, Lynn Boyd.
Ellen Boyd over here. In that news release yesterday, there was a report of a trespasser. Has the Guthrie family dealt with any incidents, threats, whether that's trespassing, social media threats, anything of that nature?
I am not aware of any of that. I know that we, as with the case again, we would look at all of the background of calls to those families or their residents and see if there's anything there, or even in that neighborhood. Those things have been looked at. I don't know of anything that was reported in even the last 30 days or 60 days. Nobody's come to me and said, hey, next door you had a burglary.
Follow up for the neighborhood where Nancy's home is. Can you give any more details on that trespassing incident?
I don't have them.
He never called him in.
It's for the FBI.
And so
I
he
just have
filed
a question. Can we confirm if the FBI director is coming for the investigation?
Yes, Director Patel is being briefed several times a day on this investigation back in D.C. He does have a trip scheduled to Tucson that was pre-scheduled before this, but he is receiving consistent and constant updates from our team here.
He's coming today?
He is not coming today.
And before you go to the next one, I know you may have had a follow-up question, but I think I overstepped you. So if you wanted to ask, I'll give you that opportunity.
Thank you, I really appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you. At what point do you deem the ransom note not credible if there is no communication that follows up since you received it? Like, what's that timeline where you say, no proof of life, there's no more, this isn't credible?
I think we start to look at what the deadlines were in the note. First, I think was 5 o'clock today, and then it had a second deadline after that. So we are continuing in a normal kidnapping case. There would be contact by now, trying to discuss that. But those are the timeframes we are looking at as we move forward.
Are you able to say that second deadline that was given?
I don't have that with me right now. So thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Entertainment Tonight, Denny Directo.
Yes, my question actually is for Agent Yankee. There was a report that said the ransom came from an email and that the FBI was actually looking into that IP address. Any updates on that?
Nothing that I can release. Thank you.
And then also, there's also conflicting reports about who was the last person to actually see Nancy and drive her home. We know she took an Uber to Annie's house, but can you confirm whether it was Annie or her son-in-law, Tommaso, who took her home that night?
I think the timeline that the sheriff provided was a family member, but
Just family. We're going to go with family.
Record TV, Vandry Piera.
We are foreign nationals, so we're not familiar with the area, so since that is a remote area. So my question is, why is it so hard to track a car or something suspicious that have passed through the area at that night? How difficult it is? Just probably cameras around or something?
Yeah, you're talking about the challenges we face in some of being in a rural area like this. Those are challenges we face all the time. We'd love it to have all the cameras in what we would consider a more urban nature type area. But once you get out into the community, that's not the only part of Tucson that is that way. And we just find ways to overcome those challenges. We don't just disregard it. We still look at ways to find for example, Ring cameras that might catch just a piece of something. It goes by, it doesn't catch the whole car. Those kinds of things. We don't give up. We still go out.
But not at least a car that came out at that night?
I can't.
I mean, like miles from the house.
We have cameras all over, and those things are being reviewed.
Arizona Republic, Richard Rillas.
I'm a different person, but pretend.
Did he get two?
It's the second one.
Was that you?
Sorry.
No.
All right. Thank you guys for keeping us honest. No, you already asked your question, so we're going to go to the New York Times with Reese. And I apologize for getting your name wrong here, Reese. Tebow?
No, you're close.
Tebow.
Hi, sure.
Hi.
The 212, the camera that detected movement at 212, was that a different camera than the one that was disconnected at 147, and where was it pointing?
We don't know that. We don't know which camera that was. When we did the software, it just told us that a person was detected, but I'm unaware of which camera that was.
There were multiple cameras and you're not sure?
Sure, there were multiple cameras at the home.
Okay, and is there a possibility that this is not a ransom situation, and if so, what else could it be?
Your guess is as good as mine. I would say absolutely there's a possibility that this is nothing to do with the kidnapping. But we cover all angles. We're not going to dismiss something until we actually know for a fact that it's one way or the other.
People Magazine, we have Danielle Walker.
Close enough. So I wanted a little more clarity to follow up on his. Is there anything more you can say? Was this actually targeted or not? Do you have any?
That's why we have the FBI to look at those areas where there may have been a target. Maybe it is a kidnapping. But no, we don't have anything to rule that out or to say it is.
And as far as the ransom note, are you looking into that now, investigating?
Yes, that's part of the investigation.
Can you go and elaborate any further if you found anything or if there's any ties or any suspects tied to that Bitcoin?
There is not at this time.
Associated Press, Sajal Govinder.
Hi, Sheriff. Just to follow up to a
You're
prior-
Joe?
I'm sorry?
You're Joe?
Govindera.
Oh, I thought you said Joe. Okay.
Just to follow up to a prior question, you had said early in the investigation that authorities don't believe Nancy Guthrie was targeted. Why don't authorities think that Nancy Guthrie was targeted?
Who said that who said they didn't
You had
think
said that
she-
early in the investigation.
Boy, if I said I absolutely misspoke. I've never thought she was or wasn't targeted. We've always believed that is certainly a possibility. I mean, you'd be silly not to think that. Somebody disappears in the middle of the night out of their home. You can understand where I'm coming from. But no, if I said that, obviously I misspoke or maybe somebody misheard me, but I've never believed that she was or was not a target.
Is there anything more specific you can say about what you believe the motive to be for this kidnapping at this time?
Motive's always going to be a question, and we'll know more as we go what that motive is. But right now, my guesswork is as good as yours.
And can you
And
talk
then
a
we
little bit?
also have, the final one will be from KVOA here in Tucson, Monica Garcia.
Okay, so let's talk about that 5 p.m. Did you say 5 p.m. deadline today? Is that the deadline? Maybe that's for the FBI.
Yes.
Can you just give us some sound on that? Because that's a big deal. That's within hours about that 5 p.m. deadline per the ransom note.
We are.
And then what's supposed to happen after that?
So the ransom note that was distributed to the media did make a demand for 5 p.m. today. And if a transfer wasn't made, then I think a second demand was for next Monday. We're not going to go beyond that, but that was the ransom note the media received.
Did it indicate what would happen if they didn't need that ransom? Did they?
We're not going to go into those specifics. Thank you.
5 p.m. Eastern, I'm sorry, I know it's not Arizona. Just 5 p.m.
I don't.
It's 5 p.m.
And then, sorry about that, Inside Edition, Jim Murray.
Special Agent Yonke, given the fact that the FBI participated in the creation of this family video, does that suggest your belief that the author or authors of that ransom note, in fact, have Nancy Guthrie?
Again, we're taking the ransom note serious, and we are following that part of the investigation.
And does the fact that there is a ransom note suggest to you that Nancy Guthrie was taken specifically because she's Savannah's mom?
There's nothing to indicate that.
Thank you guys so much for all of your questions.
Thank you.
The sheriff does have just one more note about what happens next year, or what doesn't happen next.
Well, it's what happens for us is we're going to continue working. For you, though, I hope this worked out well for you, but right now I have no plans to schedule any further press conferences unless we have some real evidence or something to bring up to you. It's pretty pointless to just keep hounding the same things over and over. And as Special Agent in Charge Yonke said, please give us some space, and that's not just physical space. Give us some space, give my team some time, because these things do take time, and they are difficult. And everybody out there is really working hard. And mistakes are going to be made, and if I made them, mea culpa. It won't be the first mistake I've ever made, but more important than me is we want Nancy back. That's the key. Okay, so thank you very much, and thank you for your concern in this.
Thank you. Sure.
We want.
All right, I think that we can identify. I think, let me see if I can get this up on my breaking. I want my breaking. Oh, maybe this one. There we go. I think we can relatively say that I like the sheriff. Sheriff seems like he's got his stuff together. He's really trying to give us as much as he can possibly give us. It is quite difficult to have a crystal ball. We always want more than they're willing to give us. So let's go over some key takeaways of what we heard here for those that didn't get a chance to okay, so before we get started on the breakdown, well, let me get started on the breakdown, then we'll go back to the pacemaker. So it looks like they got Picrid or something like that. going on, and it's kind of like the Pima Advanced Rapid Response Team or something. They've got that going out. They're sharing all information with feds, so they're running a joint effort. It sounds like they're the head, the main investigative body, not the FBI, but the FBI is running a joint investigation with them, and they're sharing all information and doing everything completely together. And in all fairness, this is the right thing to do. This sheriff when you have a good sheriff, you know you have a good sheriff. They know that something is well over their expertise. This is a serious matter. It's of the highest, these are people that are seen, well known around this country, and are getting and receiving the support of the federal government. So they're going to capitalize on that where they can. They're in the phase where they're just waiting, they said. Nancy blood is the only blood that they've gotten back so far and identified. The suspect or person of interest has not been identified by them yet. The timeline, 9:40, this is kind of the timeline. Let me get the timeline for you, because the timeline is quite interesting in my opinion. It's quite interesting. Let's find out where that timeline is. There we go. There we go. Let me see if I can put it up on a bigger screen. Okay. Maybe change my... There we go. So, obviously, this is going to be a little bit different here, okay? So we're starting up at the top here, and this is at 5:32. Nancy is traveling to a local family member's house. So she took an Uber. We learned that she took an Uber. So she took an Uber at 5:32 over to her daughter's house. At 9:48, they would not answer who dropped her off, but knowing that she went over to the house by herself through an Uber and a family member brought her home, it would be more, it sounds reasonable to think that only Thomas took her home, okay? And maybe they're not saying that because they're trying to take some heat off him for a variety of reasons. We'll discuss those at a later time, maybe in this segment, maybe a talking point for tomorrow, I'm not sure. But so now we kind of understand this. This is interesting. It took 2 minutes from the time the garage door opened to the time the garage door closed. That's a lot. 2 minutes is a lot. What was she doing in the garage for 2 minutes? You would think at this time she would walk through the garage, go into the house, click the garage door, and proceed in. So it's not so alarming. It's not. We're going to there are some things that are problematic here. I think this 2 minutes here is really kind of a little bit problematic. Just right here. 2 minutes. I mean, you got to think. I need you guys, and the only way you guys are going to be convinced of this, the problem with this 2 minutes, is I need you to go out to your garage, okay? And I need your garage to be closed. And I need you to be on the outside of your garage. And you need to act like somebody just dropped you off at the house. And you need to act feeble. So you can't just get up and just walk in like you're a freaking, you're a NASCAR, right? You got to kind of walk a little bit slower. But I want you guys to think, from that point, she was on the outside of the garage door. She clicks the garage door. She probably most likely has to put a button in because she didn't have her car. So she probably was at the garage door, plugged in the button to open up the garage door. And from the garage into the house, it's not that far. And it took her 2 minutes to get to the push button. It might have been. I mean, maybe I'm not realizing with her walker, right? We don't know. We know she can walk 50 yards, but after 50 yards, she's not very good. So, I mean, we don't know how long it would take her to do that. But I do have a problem with this, again, with this area right here. I just have a problem with it because 2 minutes is a long time. And again, I want you guys to figure out how long 2 minutes is and how slow you would have to walk to take 2 minutes to get from the garage door to the clicker at the door to get in the house. It shouldn't take 2 minutes. But anyways, I digress. So it's pretty interesting on February 1st, 2026. This is very interesting. I think this information solidifies somebody, again, being known to her versus somebody, random person, somebody coming for a ransom. Here's why. On the first, we see that the doorbell was disconnected. The door camera was disconnected at 1:47. Software detects a person on a camera, but no video was available and there's no subscription. So this tells me that the doorbell camera disconnects. He was already either in the house before 1:47. We know the pacemaker shows disconnection from the phone. That means the pacemaker was removed from the phone, and that means she was most likely at that time left, 12:28. So if the door camera, and we can't assume that that was, whatever. Interesting, though. 1:47, doorbell camera disconnects. Did he already have Nancy? Because the blood outside the door, right? Either way, if that's when he gained entry into the house, he went over there, ripped the camera off, went around back and broke into their back door. Maybe that's what happened. But at 12, and that might be the reason why the software picks somebody up at 2:12, almost 30 minutes later. 30 minutes later. So somebody goes around the entire exterior of the property and starts ripping cameras down. But then it takes another 15 minutes after that before the pacemaker disconnects from the phone. So this is the most interesting and the most telling, in my opinion, because somebody felt comfortable enough to stick around that house for 45 minutes, folks. Do you understand that? And that's at minimum. And that's if they walked up at exactly 1:47, which I don't believe that they did, in all fairness. I think that this number down here, let me get back, let me just back up just a little bit for the camera. So I think that the number, the 1:47 here and the 2:28 over here is problematic. That shows right there almost 30 or 40 minutes inside the house. That's critical, folks. Who do you know that's breaking in your house that feels like they're okay to kick their feet up and hang out for 40 minutes? While they're beating the crap out of you and kidnapping you and trying to figure out how to ransom the family. Seems like a very long time around the house, doesn't it? 45 minutes? You would think it would be, if this was a targeted hit and they're doing a ransom, they want ransom, you'd think it would be a smash and grab, right? Smash in, grab the subject, and leave. You're not seeing tick-tock, let's see. And that's what brings me out, around that house. Right? We're around that house with Brian Enton, and we're seeing them out here in this garage, and he looks like they're stepping. They're following something here, and you're seeing things that are spilt over in the garage that looks like maybe some cleaning or cover up materials, right? Stuff to try to clean a crime scene. You got a spray can there, a broom. So what was going on here? So now you have a possible concealment, cleaning up, removing somebody from the house. This seems like so much more. This seems like so much more than a targeted. I mean, it does have premeditation. I guess premeditation is a form of targeting, but I guess the difference is when we're talking about targeted, we're talking about like a third party. We're talking about like a stranger, somebody just scoping our house out, ready to lunge at us to whatever. When you're talking about like concealment and premeditation, you're talking about somebody that's known to you. So I feel like one is for more known assailants and one is for more unknown assailants, in my opinion. Boy, that's a lot of extra, But I gotta say, how would you disconnect the camera, cut the wires, just rip them off? But it sounds like they were smashed. Even though law enforcement is not, which brings me back to other stuff. Let's go back to the timeline again. So I think that was the most shocking for me, is this I can probably get rid of these, is this timeline, right? It's this timeline. It really does paint somebody that was comfortable enough to sit in a house that they didn't belong in for 45 minutes. That's nuts for me. Interesting, even though she drives and has a vehicle, she Ubered over there, requiring somebody to bring her home. And I think that has to do with the fact that she probably doesn't like driving at night. She doesn't mind getting in the car and putzing around to the church around the corner, probably, during the day, but nighttime driving, she probably doesn't feel comfortable doing. And so that's what happened. BHB, he made no comment regarding the car. If the sister was confiscated, it had been. He did make a comment about that. He actually stated it was normal and customary, which I kind of figured that's what they were going to say. The forced entry, he said he doesn't know where the forced entry came. We know it came from Ashley Banfield, but he doesn't know who would have told Ashley Banfield that, because they've never discussed it. So he's not going to discuss it now. Of course, they had the special agent in charge, and his name was Heath Yonker. John Edwards was the person that spoke yesterday. Heath Yonkers is the one that stepped up today. They talked about the ransom letter, and they talked about the imposter. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about this, because I think people misunderstood what they were saying when they were with respect to the imposter. They were saying somebody was was being an imposter and trying to get money. So one of two things happened with this imposter. In order to be an imposter, you're assuming somebody else's identity. So the way they kept emphasizing for financial gain, it seems like they had maybe set up a GoFundMe or something to that effect, where they were acting like they were the family member and reaping in some financial reward for that, and something like that. That when they over explained that, that's really the vibe I was getting from that statement there. So 45 minutes in the house is critical. They wouldn't talk about the deadlines, but he accidentally leaked it at the end. Just said that in the ransom note they identified the Apple Watch and the floodlights, and again, that's stuff that we've heard on the news. So I don't know why, whatever. But there were three ransom notes. Again, one arrest for imposter. Sounds like a GoFundMe fraud, but I don't know. But they did state no one is ruled out. No one is ruled out. They did have DNA. They're going through the DNA. So far, the DNA that's come back is only identifying the victim. They're still waiting for communication from the abductors, if it's accurate and true. They don't have cameras in Ellie's possession. A lot of information about these cameras. The cameras were destroyed. I think that we're going to find out that the cameras on the outside of the house were in fact damaged. If the one is ripped off the wall, then I have to assume that the other two were smashed, or the other ones were smashed. He also stated technology will solve this case. It was very apparent because media is watching every bit of movement from the FBI to law enforcement to the family, and noticed that the FBI was there and worked with them, worked with the family, even providing the tripod and a ring light to help them broadcast that message to the would-be abductors. I think that this is just something that they chose to do. One, because they received the note and they want to take it seriously, and they might as well address it since there's been no other contact. I don't think they're going to be able to contact, because I think the person is going to ultimately be somebody very close to the family, and they probably can't get away in order to make these calls or keep up the charade. Wouldn't answer. This is another thing. The special agent in charge, Heath, what was his name? Heath, shit. Heath Yonke. So the special agent in charge, they got really clever with how they asked questions. I liked how they asked this question. And they asked the special agent, this is what makes me realize they don't really put a lot of stock in that ransom note. Now, that's my opinion. You know, they're going to probably come out and say, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But I'm going to break it down for you. I don't believe that, because they were asking what kind of profile. FBI has already profiled. You guys know FBI has pristine profilers on staff with the FBI, right? That's not surprising. You guys know that, right? Like, they have profiles. They go in there, they have somebody, and they say, you know, this is the scenario of the case. Who am I looking for, right? And through different types of, and it's usually it's a science, but it's a science based on statistics, right? Statistic analysis and anomalies. That's basically what it is. Because we've had so many crimes over the years, we can basically tell you, you know, in a certain crime, statistically, what the outcome will most likely be, right? That's what statistics is all about. And so, long story short, is they asked Yonke, Special Agent Yonke, who the profile that they've come up with would be. And this is where it's telling. He refused to answer. He refused to answer. That's telling me it's close to home, because if it was some random, you know, person, they'd be saying, well, you know, based upon the stuff that we've learned, we would assume that it's a white male, predominantly blue-eyed. We know that he comes from blah, 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 blah. He probably writes with his left hand. He probably has an IQ of XYZ. You know, they already have that. It's freaky how they do it. I don't know how they do it. You know, maybe with ChatGPT one day I'll be as smart as an FBI agent. I don't know. But he refused to answer that, and that told me a lot. It told me a lot. You got to remember, yeah, they let us come here. They let us, you know, analyze. And I can see why they don't want so many of these press conferences, because we overanalyze it, and we do get some information out of it, because they're human beings and they leak no different than a suspect. Okay. So when they're trying not to divulge information, the more they talk, the more chances and more likely they will divulge information that they don't want to divulge. Just like the special agent, and even though he's an FBI agent, he didn't want to get into deadlines. He did not want to tell people the deadlines, and he accidentally let it leak. And then he's stuck on it. So he finally said, well, then we might as well go ahead and tell him when the deadlines are. Oops, I already did this. And you could even see him. He walked over to the other FBI agent, and they had to consort on notes on how to handle this, because they leaked. Okay? So it happens, folks. This is why it's so important. Human beings leak. That's why they like to keep the suspect talking, and it's why we like to keep the investigators talking, right? And they know that. So they checked the medication, and they were going to hospitals and checking at the hospitals in the area every hour on the hour. They're looking for her everywhere. They haven't ruled anything out. They haven't ruled anything out, but nothing to imply that she has managed to get over the border. The first ransom, they didn't want to answer when the first ransom arrived. It sounds like all of the ransoms from TMZ to the other two local stations, it sounds like those ransom letters are the same exact ransom letter. So that's interesting. And interesting enough, even though the neighbor talked about a trespasser, apparently that trespasser didn't concern the neighbor enough to call that in to law enforcement, or he embellished when it happened, because according to the sheriff, there has been no reports. There has been no calls to sheriff, no reports, and no service calls for a trespasser that he's aware of in between 30 to 60 days. So definitely outside of the realm of possibilities there. They don't know which camera had the movement on it at 2:12. There were multiple cameras. They did acknowledge there were multiple cameras. They're covering all angles, ransom versus something else. It just doesn't seem like anybody's really invested in this ransom theory. just by the way they're handling it. Targeted, maybe. It's kind of it is a kidnapping. There's not it whether it's targeted or kidnapping. They're not they're not sure at this time. So it seems like they're even teetering on whether this was targeted or truly a kidnapping, because I keep hearing it, and every time they get pressured on it, they kind of waffle a little on that. And so ransom is taken seriously, and so far there's nothing, and that was it. So my biggest takeaway out of this entire interview or press conference was the 45 minutes. The 45 minutes that the assailant was in the house. That was the most concerning of it. Now, guys, I do want to get into the pacemaker aspect of this. I know that we had some conversations about the pacemaker. I did have an opportunity to do some research on this, and I want to share with you some of the research that I did do on the Oh, so which one did I do it on? If I was in there, I must have done it on Perplexity. So let me go. This is weird. Oh, okay. You know what? I think I did it in Google. I think I did it in Google AI stuff. Huh. Let's see if this one is it. So basically what it said, I can't find it, but this is, I was going to read it verbatim to you, but I'll just break it down the way I understand it. So the pacemaker is not a tracking device. It does not show location. There is no satellite to say whether you're dead or alive. There's no satellite that gives anything. The only way it works is through a short signal and telephone service. So if you're not around your machine that communicates with your pacemaker, there's no communication. Once that disconnection happens, it disconnects. Okay. So that's the problem. There's no way that they can talk to each other at this point. So the ability for them to log in to see if the heart is even pumping to that assigned to that pacemaker, it just doesn't do that. And if it can do all the functions that the pacemaker does, this new technology, this new day and age, they should have new technology in these things, and she might have had hers put installed, but hopefully the newer ones can actually, test to make sure that you're where you need to be or your heart's still pumping, but that's what I did find out about it. You do need and when you do step away, but the interesting thing is that this person was obviously around the house for 45 minutes. So I'm interested in what that connection was saying in that 45 minutes leading up to her departure from the home. That's going to be pretty interesting and pretty scary all of the same. So anyways, guys, I wasn't planning on coming back here and doing a live with you guys today. I'm glad you guys were able to tune in. I'm glad we had a healthy audience for this press conference. Definitely some takeaway items. It's sad to hear that we're probably not going to get another press conference until there's some breaking news. I think too much information is leaking out. And I think they need to plug the leaks because I think it will be affecting their case. Again, they want the suspects talking. They don't want the suspects feeling like they're suspects. They want to be their friend. They want to keep that form of communication up. This is leading me to believe that I truly believe they may really be looking at the son-in-law as the prime suspect. There's just something that's just bothering me, deep down here. When it comes to that son-in-law, he's hitting all the boxes we needed to hit. He's been in the family for 20 years, and he's never had a violent crime attributed to him. So if it is him, I'm very curious as to why. what benefit would he have had to hurt her? But if it's not, shame on the people that put a target on this man's back. We want legitimate information. And when things come from Ashley Banfield, of all people, we take that as the gospel. And I hope she understands that, because I understand she's kind of out on her own with this Drop Dead Serious, account and YouTube channel. But I'm hoping she's keeping the same, required integrity. That's why I never really cared for Ashley Banfield, as her integrity is shit. It was always her producers and stuff that kept her honest, and when she's on her own with this whole Drop Dead Serious and she's trying to make a go of that, and she's got to try to be, have the angle, and there's nobody overseeing her, she can be, a chick gone wild. We've seen it happen before on these platforms. You got to understand, I tried telling you guys that mainstream media is dying. It's dead, right? So all of those people are going to have to convert to social media. So we're going to have to hold their feet to the fire when they come over here, because we don't want them mainstreaming up our social media. We don't want you guys to York up our Florida. Okay. I'm just saying. Okay. I'm just saying. So that's kind of where we're doing now. We got mainstream media kind of coming into to social media, because they can't hack it in the mainstream media world. Why? Because nobody trusts them. Why? Because of this shit right here. So I'm praying to God that she really did talk to somebody that's familiar with this case, that this is not just, covering her ass by jacking up her ratings, because these people, they've been in the biz long enough. We know how this game works. We just hope that she's not playing this type of game at the expense of real life people. We don't play that over here in true crime. So hopefully she's got some pay dirt, because she's only going to have so many times to do that like this before, her name's going to be shit over on this platform. So I hope she's very cautious and careful, because these if they are lies and they're salacious, they will catch up with her like they catch up with everybody else. So hopefully she's not doing that. And, at the end of the day, like I said, we are looking for somebody close to the family. He was the last person to see the grandmother alive before she disappeared and disappeared forever. Where was he at 2 o'clock in the morning? Did he wait until his wife Annie went to bed and snuck out of the house? So there's a lot here, guys. There's something not right here, and I'm just not getting the vibe of ransom. I'm just not. But it's not the first time I've been off base with a case. So I guess only time will tell which way this is going. They can only keep it under wraps before people start bursting at the seams. We see it happen all the time. So we're just waiting for the inevitable to happen, and then we'll start getting back on the news wave. So if they quiet up too much, I hope they don't. I know the FBI, it counsels them to. I think the FBI in that respect is dumb as shit. The less you talk, the more speculation that happens out here on these streets. If you want to keep the speculation down, you have to keep the conversation going. The minute you stop talking, that minute everybody else starts talking. And the more that you guys fail to address, either by publication or by video, rebuttal, the more these things are going to grow legs and arms. So I always believe in a public information officer. I think that anybody that's dealing with a high profile case like this needs to take a strategy of no matter how you thought the investigation went in Idaho or not. I'm not talking about the investigators. I'm not talking about the investigation. I'm not talking about how they investigated the case. I'm not talking about none of that. The only thing I'm talking about respect with Idaho 4 is their communication in a very high profile case, and how they kept us, constantly fed with information, constantly on their website, constantly looking for their press conferences. And they give us things like, the lead count that they've went through, the other information that they went through, but they kept it focused on the stuff that they wanted to keep it focused on. You see, they were very clever in that respect. We were looking everywhere else while they were doing their work and finding Brian Kohberger, which they brought that case home very quickly with such immense pressure and such a worldwide audience. And they kept us engaged. They kept us coming back. And it wasn't engaged because, let's face it, if you stop talking, stuff will be created to fill the void. Okay, they kept the conversation going. So if there's any best practices that I can suggest to the FBI, to law enforcement across the country, it's implementing that public strategy. That public strategy truly worked. I've never seen anybody work a strategy like the Moscow Police Department did with that Idaho 4 and how they kept us engaged and tried. Now, granted, it got crazy and people were still accusing people, but the people that were really trying to keep the cart on the rails, those people were the ones that kept the cart on the rails, right? So those were the people that it was for. Those were the people that were successful at doing it. And those were the people that were able to rein in a lot of that bullshit that was going on TikTok and everything else. We were able to police ourselves with the ones that were paying attention to what law enforcement were doing. So we were able to really corral a lot of our own in from going off the rails. So I think the strategy was good. I hope to see more law enforcement across this country utilizing that strategy. And now with AI, they should be able to streamline that strategy where they're not having to produce press material anymore. They should be able to have all this stuff plugged into AI, put the parameters in of what they want to disclose to AI, and every other day make out a press release based upon that AI. They don't even have to do it. It's something that can be easy. Then they only have one piece of paper that needs to be handed around the departments and approved for release. It streamlines the process, it keeps the conversation going, and it limits the speculation in the case. And that's what we want. We don't want to be giving wrong information. We want the speculation to go on, but we don't want crazy theories to be turned into fact. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. She's ready. God bless.